Gratitude is often spoken of as a simple word, something we say politely when someone gives us a gift or offers us help. But true gratitude runs much deeper than manners. It is a way of seeing life. It is the lens through which we can turn ordinary moments into extraordinary blessings. Too often we overlook the treasures we already possess because we are so busy chasing what we do not have. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I get that promotion, when I buy that car, when I move into that dream home. But the truth is, happiness does not come when life is finally perfect. Happiness comes when we recognize the perfection in what we already have. Think for a moment about your life right now. You woke up this morning, and that in itself is a gift denied to many. You have breath in your lungs, a heart that beats faithfully, and a mind capable of creating, learning, and imagining. Yet because these blessings are constant, we take them for granted. Gratitude teaches us to pause and notice the miracles in the ordinary. The sunlight breaking through your window, the laughter of a child, the taste of your favorite meal. These are not small things. They are the essence of life, the foundation of happiness. When we live without gratitude, we live in scarcity. We focus on what we lack, and our minds become prisons of dissatisfaction. But when we practice gratitude, we step into abundance. The same life that once felt incomplete suddenly feels full. Imagine walking into your kitchen and seeing a glass of water. Without gratitude, you say, it's only half full. With gratitude, you say, how fortunate I am to have water when so many go without. That small shift in perspective changes not just your thoughts, but your emotions, your decisions, and ultimately your life. Science even proves. Studies show that people who regularly practice gratitude experience higher levels of happiness, less stress, and better health. Writing down just 3 things you are thankful for every day can rewire your brain to focus on the positive. Gratitude is not just an attitude. It is a practice, a discipline, something we choose even when life is hard, especially when life is hard. Think about the darkest moments of your life. At the time, they may have felt unbearable. But when you look back, you often see that those struggles shaped you, made you stronger, more compassionate, more resilient. Gratitude does not mean denying pain or pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging the pain but choosing to also see the lessons, the growth, and the hidden blessings. The more grateful you become, the more joy you attract. Gratitude transforms relationships because when you appreciate people, they feel valued. Gratitude transforms challenges because when you are thankful even for struggles, they lose the power to break you. Gratitude transforms your heart because it shifts you from a life of wanting to a life of living. So if happiness is the treasure, then gratitude is the master key that unlocks it. Purpose is the fire that lights the human soul. Without it, even the brightest life feels dim, and with it, even the darkest road becomes worth traveling. Many people wake up each day, go to work, handle responsibilities, and fall asleep without ever asking themselves the most important question. Why am I here? It is not enough to simply exist. To truly live, we must have a reason that pulls us forward, a calling that gives meaning to every effort, and a vision that makes even the hardest struggles worthwhile. Think about a ship at sea. Without a destination, it drifts endlessly, carried by every wave, lost to the mercy of the winds. But when the captain knows the direction, every wave, no matter how strong, becomes part of the journey. Life works the same way. Without purpose, we drift, reacting instead of creating, surviving instead of living. But with purpose, challenges don't defeat us, they refine us. Obstacles don't end our journey. They become stepping stones toward what we are meant to achieve. Purpose is not always about grand titles or extraordinary achievements. It does not always mean becoming famous or wealthy. True purpose is about discovering what matters most to you and aligning your life with it. For one person, purpose might be raising a family with love. For another, it may be teaching, creating, healing, or leading. It can be as vast as impacting millions or as simple as making one person's life better each day. Purpose is not about scale, it is about significance. There is a joy that comes only from knowing you are walking the path meant for you. Have you ever been so deeply absorbed in something that time seemed to disappear, and you felt alive in a way nothing else could make you feel? That is a clue to your purpose. It is found in the things that ignite your passion, in the activities where your talents and your heart align, in the causes that make you want to stand up and fight for something bigger than yourself. Without purpose, even success feels empty. You can achieve wealth, fame, and recognition, but if those things are not tied to what truly matters to you, they will leave you hollow. History is filled with people who seemed to have everything on the outside, but felt unfulfilled and fulfilled on the inside. On the other hand, people with a clear sense of purpose often radiate joy even in simple lives, because meaning fuels their days. Living with purpose requires courage. It means asking hard questions. What do I value most? What do I want my life to stand for? If today were my last day, what legacy would I leave behind? These questions may feel uncomfortable, but the answers unlock the map to a fulfilling life. Purpose does not remove challenges, but it gives you a reason to endure them. It is the compass that turns suffering into strength and effort into fulfillment. Growth is the heartbeat of happiness, the steady rhythm that tells us we are moving forward, learning, and becoming more than we were yesterday. Without growth, even the most comfortable life can feel empty, because deep down, we are wired not just to exist, but to evolve. Every person has an inner desire to expand, to discover new strengths, overcome limitations, and rise beyond the version of themselves they once thought was final. When growth stops, life begins to feel stagnant, but when growth continues, every day becomes an opportunity for renewal. Many people fear change, clinging tightly to their comfort zones, because growth often feels uncomfortable. It requires effort, discipline, and sometimes even pain. Think of a seed buried in the soil. To grow, it must push through darkness, break through resistance, stretch toward the light. The struggle is not a punishment, it is the process. The same is true for us. The challenges we face are not meant to hold us back, but to draw out our strength and prepare us for the next level of life. Happiness thrives in progress. It's not about being perfect, it's about becoming. Think about the times in your life when you felt the most alive. Chances are it could have been things were easy and effortless, but when you pushed yourself, learned something new, or achieved something you once thought was impossible, the joy came not only from reaching the goal, but from realizing what you had to become in order to reach it. That transformation, that growth, is where happiness lives. Growth takes many forms. Sometimes it is physical, like training the body to become stronger and healthier. Sometimes it is mental, like learning a new skill or gaining wisdom from a book or a mentor. And often it is emotional and spiritual, like learning to forgive, to let go, or to love more deeply. Every form of growth stretches us beyond who we are today, and every step of progress fills us with the quiet pride of knowing we are evolving. But growth requires courage. It asks us to face fears, to make mistakes, and to try again. Many people avoid growth because they fear failure. Yet failure is not the opposite of growth, it is part of it. Every setback carries a lesson, and every lesson moves us closer to becoming who we are meant to be. Growth is not a straight line. It is a series of rises and falls, each one shaping us in ways comfort never could. One of the greatest gifts of growth is the confidence it brings. When you push through challenges and see yourself improve, you no longer fear the unknown as much, because you've proven to yourself that you can adapt, endure, and rise. That confidence becomes a foundation for happiness, because you stop doubting your ability to face what lies ahead. In the end, happiness is not found in standing still, but in moving forward. Growth is the proof that life is alive within us, the reminder that every day is a chance to be more than we were yesterday. To grow is to live, and to live is to be truly happy. Connection is the invisible thread that weaves our lives together, giving us meaning, comfort, and belonging. No matter how strong, talented, or independent we believe ourselves to be, the truth is that we are not designed to walk this journey of life alone. Happiness multiplies when it is shared, and pain becomes lighter when it is carried together. From the moment we are born, our hearts long for connection, with family, with friends, with community, and even with strangers who remind us of our shared humanity. We live in a time where people are more connected through technology than ever before, yet loneliness is at an all-time high. Why? Because true connection is not measured by the number of contacts in your phone or followers on your social media. It is measured by the depth of understanding, the presence of empathy, and the honesty of communication. You can be surrounded by thousands and still feel alone if no one truly sees you for who you are. On the other hand, even one genuine bond can fill your life with warmth and meaning. Connection is built on authenticity. It requires the courage to take off the masks we wear to impress the world and allow others to see the real us. Many people fear vulnerability, believing it is weakness, but in truth, vulnerability is the birthplace of intimacy. When you share your true self, your dreams, your struggles, your doubts, you give others permission to do the same. That is how trust is born, and from trust comes the kind of relationships that stand the test of time. Happiness is deeply tied to love, compassion, and belonging. Studies repeatedly show that people with strong social bonds live longer, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. Wealth and achievements may provide temporary satisfaction, but relationships give lasting joy. Think of your greatest memories. Were they about material possessions, or were they about the people who laughed with you, supported you, or stood by you when life was tough? Almost always, it is the people who make those moments unforgettable. Connection also means contributing to something larger than ourselves. It could be volunteering, being part of a team, or simply listening to someone who needs a kind word. When we give time and energy to others, we are reminded that happiness does not only come from what we receive, but from what we share. Contribution deepens connection, and connection deepens happiness. Of course, connection is not always easy. Relationships require patience, forgiveness, and effort. People will disappoint us, just as we will disappoint them. But the beauty of connection is not in perfection. It is in resilience, in choosing to value the bond more than the mistake, and in remembering that forgiveness is a bridge that keeps hearts together. At the end of our lives, the things we accumulate will fade, but the love we gave and the connections we nurtured will remain. To connect is to truly live, because happiness is not a solo journey, it is a shared experience. There is a special kind of happiness that cannot be bought, borrowed, or manufactured. It comes only from giving your time, your energy, your kindness, your talents, and even your love. Contribution is not about how much you have, but how much of yourself you are willing to share. Too often we measure life by what we accumulate, but real fulfillment comes from what we contribute. The deepest joy is born not in asking, "What can I get?" but in asking, "What can I get?" but in asking, "What can I give?" When you look back at history, the people remembered most are not the ones who had the most wealth, but the ones who gave the most of themselves. Leaders, teachers, inventors, healers, and everyday heroes left legacies because they chose to contribute something valuable to the world around them. Contribution is not about fame or recognition. It's about impact. Even the smallest act of kindness can create ripples that touch lives far beyond what we can see. There is a story of a man who spent his life planting trees, even though he knew he might never sit in their shade. Why did he do it? Why did he do it? Because he understood that contribution is about serving the future as much as the present. When we contribute, we leave behind something greater than ourselves. It might be a lesson taught, a hand extended in kindness, or a difference made in one person's life. Happiness grows when we realize that our existence matters not just for ourselves, but for others. Contribution also reshapes how we view our own struggles. When we use our pain to help someone else, it transforms into purpose. The person who has endured hardship becomes the mentor who guides another through the same storm. The person who has known loss becomes the friend who offers comfort to someone grieving. Life is not only about what happens to us, it is about what we do with it. Contribution allows us to turn wounds into wisdom and challenges into channels of service. And contribution is not limited to grand gestures. A smile offered to a stranger, listening to a friend who feels unheard, or sharing knowledge with someone who needs guidance. All these small acts are powerful. Sometimes the smallest contribution leaves the biggest mark because while we may forget moments of luxury, we never forget the way someone made us feel. Happiness born from contribution is sustainable because it is not dependent on external circumstances. When we give, we step outside ourselves, and that shift brings freedom from the endless pursuit of personal gain. Contribution teaches us that the meaning of life is not found in how much we consume, but in how much we create for others. At the end of the day, what matters most is not the possessions we gather, but the lives we touch. Contribution ensures that when our story is told, it will not be about what we owned, but about what we gave. And in giving, we find a happiness deeper than anything we could ever keep for ourselves. Balance is the art of living fully without losing yourself in the extremes of life. It is about finding harmony between ambition and peace, between working hard and resting well, between chasing the future and savoring the present moment. Too often, people believe happiness lies only in achievement, so they push endlessly, sacrificing health, relationships, and inner peace. Others avoid effort altogether, drifting without direction, and wonder why life feels empty. True happiness is not found at either extreme, but in balance. The point where effort and ease, striving and stillness meet. Think about the rhythm of nature. Day gives way to night. Summer flows into winter. The tides rise and fall. Everything in creation has a natural balance, and when it is disturbed, things fall apart. Human life is no different. If we spend all our energy working without rest, we burn out. If we spend all our time resting without purpose, we wither. Happiness blooms when we learn to honor both action and renewal. Balance reminds us that rest is not weakness, it is fuel. Many people chase success so fiercely that they forget why they started in the first place. They tell themselves, once I achieve this goal, then I will be happy. But by the time they reach it, another goal has already replaced it. The finish line keeps moving and joy is always postponed. Balance means learning to celebrate progress, to pause and appreciate how far you've come, and not just how far you still have to go. It means understanding that life is not only about the destination, it is also about the journey. Balance also applies to the heart. Relationships suffer when we give too much to work and not enough to the people who matter most. Balance teaches us that success is empty if there is no one to share it with. It reminds us to put down the phone, step away from the office, and invest in moments that cannot be bought back, like laughter with family, time with friends, or simple stillness with ourselves. Balance does not mean living without challenges or discomfort. Growth requires effort, and dreams demand sacrifice. But balance ensures that sacrifice does not cost us our well-being or our joy. It gives us permission to work passionately while also caring for our bodies, our minds, and our souls. It is not about splitting life into equal parts, but about giving each part the attention it deserves. One of the greatest lessons balance teaches is presence. When you are working, work with focus. When you are resting, rest with peace. When you are with loved ones, be fully there. Happiness is not scattered across 100 different places. It is found in the moment you are in right now. Balance helps you return to that moment instead of being pulled endlessly between regrets of the past and worries about the future. At the end of life, what matters is not just what we achieve, but how we lived. Balance ensures that we do not simply run through life, but that we experience it fully, deeply, and joyfully. It is the gentle reminder that happiness is not just about moving forward, but also about pausing, breathing, and being.